Hi everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Media Made Easy class, and this is the graphic design section of this particular class. And these sessions will be running for the next 4 weeks thereabout. And I very excited personally for the amazing wonders we'll be sharing together and the amazing things you will be doing through the course of this particular class. Now, even if you are a complete beginner, this class is actually made for you. So if you thought about the fact that, okay, I don't have any knowledge whatsoever about design, this class is exactly made for you. Now, I'll be taking you through all the steps needed for you to begin and actually also accelerate your growth as a designer. Now, this particular class is entirely split into three major parts. So you have the class that is focused on the tool, and in this case, it's Photoshop, right? But because of time, I'll choose more other tools like Figma and the likes. But because of the short time we have, just focus on one tool, right? So we use Photoshop throughout the entire class, and then I'll be also talking about graphic design itself. It's a discipline as an area of creativity, right? So you have the Photoshop sessions, we have the graphic design sessions on its own, and then we have a part where we talk about both the application of Photoshop and design, like when they come together, how you use Photoshop as a tool to interpret what you want to do as a graphic designer. That's like it's 30 sections. So Photoshop, graphic design, and application. Are we good? Yeah. So now tonight we'll be starting with Photoshop, right? I'll be taking you from the most basic parts of what Photoshop does or can do, right? Before we get right into the class right now, I'd like you that if you're just even the class right now in the comment section, just drop your name and your location. So you can just drop my name is John. I'm connecting from Ghana. My name is John. I'm connecting from Toronto, from Canada, or from Nigeria, whichever the case is, right? Just let's have that going in the comment section right now. My name is this, my name is that, and this is my location. Let's have that flowing in the comment section, right? Thank you so much, everyone. So while we are doing that, let's get into tonight's class. As I mentioned, we'll be talking majorly on Photoshop tonight. So right now, expect your your laptop should be opened in front of you right now, and then we can get started. So click on your Photoshop in your laptop, and let's get it opened. So my Photoshop is already open right now in front of me, and the first thing I'd like to show you tonight is how you can create a new file. It sounds basic, but as I mentioned earlier, I will not take chances that naturally you know what I show you might not know, right? Depending, especially be a beginner. So I take it as basic as I can. So this first step we want to surmount right now is creating a new file, okay? And there are a couple of ways for you to do that. You can do that in 3 ways that I know of right now. So you can use a shortcut, the keyboard shortcut. The same way you use Ctrl+C to copy and Ctrl+V to paste your day-to-day activities on your laptop. Can have a couple of shortcuts be used, and actually I'll show you a couple of shortcuts you can learn today, right? Now, so you can use a shortcut to create a new file. You can click on the button you're seeing on your screen right now that says new file. Friday you're using the newer versions of Photoshop, and you can just go to file and then choose new file. So those are 3 major ways. Don't worry about all the ways. Whichever way sounds easy to you, pick that one. Okay, I've been doing this for a bit, so I tend to like just have multiple ways, and it's just easier for me to communicate better to whoever I'm speaking with, so it makes it much easier for them to pick up what I'm saying. Good. So new file, right? So the first step is obviously is clicking on the button that says new file. Very simple. So let's click on that, and then we'll see this particular pop-up. And then to show the other 2 steps I mentioned the other time, just for educational purposes, right? I just press Ctrl+N on my keyboard. That helps me to create a new file. So Ctrl+N, right? And then I have the same pop-up. And then I can also just come to File, and I click on New, and still get the same results. So 3 ways to create new file. That's ready. So you know that you can do the same thing in like 3 ways, right? That's a plus for you. So good, we already have that. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to define dimension of what we want to create. So for example, let's say someone commissions you to work on a billboard that's like 20 feet by 10 feet. Of course, the dimension for that is not the same dimension as someone able to do something like a flyer. They're not the same dimensions, right? So 10 feet by 10 feet is not the same thing you do for like a flyer. So the same way. So depending on what you want to work on, that's like the dimensions you define for your Photoshop file, right? That's what you have to do. Now, for example, just for us to make it as basic as possible and as simple as possible for able to get along right now, and I expect as I'm talking, I'm doing it right now, you're also following through. You don't want to like wait till the end of class and say, okay, I'm going to do it. Because guess what? You're not going to do anything after the class. Me and you know, right? So as I'm doing it right now, copy your laptop and be doing it also. So I'm trying to keep it as simple and as not so fast as I can, and still ensure that you get everything as simple as possible. Now, for tonight's class, we'll be creating a very simple file. So you'll be creating a square that you can use across multiple platforms. So you can use square posts for Instagram, for Facebook, for Twitter, for many of these platforms out there, right? They allow you to post square on their feed post, right? So use a square. So you use the dimension of 1080 by 1080 pixels. Now, when it comes to design files, there are multiple dimensions. You have pixels, you have inches, you have millimeters, you have centimeters, you have even feet, depending on the platform you're using. For example, like CorelDRAW, you can set in inches as up to feet, or let's keep it as simple as possible. Remember, so you're dealing with pixels, majorly pixels, right? So make sure that your dimension is set to pixels. You can see the other parts, just pixels, the first one. And then the number now could be 1080 by 1080. So 1080 in width and then 1080 in height. So 1080 by 1080, same thing. Okay. The next thing you want to do is the resolution. Keep it at 300. If you want this 72, change it to 300. So the higher the resolution, the better it comes, and then the quality also determines, right? Actually, if you are doing for print, it's much higher than this photo. Just keep it as simple as possible right now. So 1080 by 1080 and 300 for resolution. Any other thing right now, leave it alone. Okay, leave it as default as it is. Just don't touch it. Okay. I don't talk about it. Just leave it as it is. So once you're done with those dimensions, click on the create and then get into create. Let's get right. So create. Nice. Now, already have a file. A file is already open, and I'm assuming you already have your own file also opened right now. And if I do training notes, remember to drop your name and your location in the comment section right now. Good. Now we have our file. Photoshop installed right now. Now I already show you how to create a new file. The next thing I would like to show you tonight is, because I had to write a note here so I can follow through because I have a lot to show you tonight. Now I have the new file. Then we can also open existing file. So if you have a file existing in your laptop, like probably someone needs you to work on something with them, or you need to edit something before, or probably just take out a job and then you need to open an existing file. So now this is multiple ways. It can be like just a random picture you want to open into Photoshop. Let me show you what that means. So example, I can say I want to open a picture in Photoshop. I don't want to just open a blank page like we have right now. I want to open a picture in Photoshop. Maybe I want to edit the picture. Whereas what do? I come to open file, then open. Or I can use a shortcut, Control O, to open a file. Right? So either you just click on file at the top bar in the Photoshop, and click on open. The second one after new, click on open, and then you go to where your file is. In this case, we just use one of the files I have here, and then I have that. So by itself to open the picture, you can see right now I have the picture opened as a Photoshop file, right? So I have to create new and then pick the picture. So of course I can bring a picture into a Photoshop file, but I can actually also open a picture as a Photoshop file. Get the documents, all right? Get the gist. Good. Now, when we want to open Photoshop document on its own also, you can also do the same. Also open and then find wherever it is and click on it. It opens. That's how it works. Okay, good. So you already know how to create a new file and how to open an existing file. A laptop. Very simple. Let me create this. I don't need this right now. Good. Now, so if new file, existing file. Next, how to show you now is how to place a file inside Photoshop. Right. So the other way I showed you how to open a file, but now how do you place? For example, if I need a picture in this particular document right now, how do I do that? Right. I already showed you how to open it separately from a existing document. How do I do that now? Very simple. Very, very simple. There are two ways. I'll show you one, just so I don't confuse you so much. So file, and then I come to place. So depending on the version you're using, we rather say place. If you're using newer versions, you see place embedded. Use place embedded. Okay. Right. So place. Let's bring in this picture. Right. Then I click on enter. Good. Simple as that. So right now I have this picture opened inside the file I created. Now, and when you look to the right hand side, you will see this. So right now you have this layer that is just extra. Or if you're using an older version, you would most likely have two layers. You have you have a layer that says style, this Sheeran, now you have another layer that says background like this. Well, it's the same thing. It don't matter, right? It's a thing. Nobody will ask you that what passion did you use to create this work. Just do whatever you can do with what you have. So I'm using a more recent version, so this might look a bit different, but still the same thing. In fact, as far back as one of my most early courses I used Adobe CS6. I put even know what that means. But it's not that it's just what you have is Adobe CC 2024, 2025. Back then, those CS3, that's Creative Suite, CS3, CS4, CS5, CS6, then they move to CC and the Lightspo. If those are just names. Say we have iPhone 10, iPhone 16, you start. Good. So we have your photo placed into your file for Photoshop. Good. Now that's how to place a file. Simple. The other way, let's click for now because I don't want to confuse. Just go to File and Place. Simple. You want to open it existing file, go to Open. So you have new file, you have Open existing file. You can place a file into your Photoshop file, Photoshop document. Either ways. Okay. So in case you are not sure of any parts, you can easily come back to the video and just rewind and check what I mentioned or what I said. And also, another thing I'd like to mention at this point is that in as much as I'm trying to keep everything as simplified as much as possible, also to ensure that I can share a lot for you per class. Also, I'm inviting you to actively and consciously and also intentionally explore it. Now, the worst that can happen to you in Photoshop is that you mix a lot of things up and then you close the file, or at worst you close Photoshop. To not crash your laptop, it's Photoshop, right? Just the same way you have maybe a jot and you don't like what happens in the page, you can tear it out. Same thing, delete the file, start again. So at the any stages, I'm imploring you and I'm encouraging you to actually explore things and try out things, break things. It's fine. It's just an app. Just a tool. Same way you can, as I mentioned earlier, same way you can jot on your jotter, make mistakes and then say it down or focus it and then go to this speech. It's the same thing, right? Right. Good. Another thing is that also you should just check out a couple of YouTube tutorials and then just see what sticks for you. So let's continue now. Now, the next thing I want to be showing you tonight is how to use a couple of the tools you have available in Photoshop. So you have a couple of tools in Photoshop. Now, by the left-hand side, we see a lot of tools with icons, right? Don't worry. Don't bother yourself too much, right? Even at now, the max tools you probably use maybe 10 of them, right? Not even yet, right? Just the ones you need part time, right? Good. Now, even as I've been designing since 2015 and I've been in Photoshop for a bit, like at least about 7-8 years, and I can tell you that I've not used all the tools here. I've used partially most of them, but I've not used everything. If fact is for you to use what you need. Good. Now, hope you know that there are many colors of pen beyond blue and black or red. There are green pens, there are pink pens, right? There are gray pens. For you don't use gray or gray, most likely you just use blue or black. Same thing. Good. Now, let's get into the tools for Photoshop and just begin to check them one after the other. Now, the most common tool you will use beyond your mouse to move around is the Move tool. Move tool. Okay, and that's the shortcut to the Move tool is V on your keyboard. Don't know why it's not M. I don't know. M is another tool entirely, but for you to use the Move tool in Photoshop, it is V on your keyboard. So letter V for Vombo, right? Now, so for example, if I wanted to move this Ed Sheeran guy there somewhere, I have to be on Move tool. Right now, the Move tool, that's like the default, the top most tool. Now, if you're using a newer version, of course, the Move tool is spliced with the Add Boards tool. I'm sure what I'm saying. If I right click now on the Move tool, right click now, you will see Move tool, you see Add Board tool. Same V, right? But let's just focus on the Move tool for now. To Move tool, that means I can move this guy around. I can just click on him and then drag him around. That's the Move tool for you. Okay, so the Move tool. Use the Move tool to move. Very simple. See, not add. Good. Then for the Move tool now, let's go into something else that's a bit simple, right? Let's go to the Zoom tool. So you have the Move tool, I have the Zoom. And thankfully, because the Zoom is Z, don't worry, always is. So Move tool V, you can write, right? You can write. And then the Zoom tool is Z, by your keyboard or Z. No matter how you pronounce it. Now, for this allows you to zoom in and zoom out of what you're doing. When you begin to design, you understand what this means. For example, maybe I want to see some parts of this place. Instead of me able to move closer to my laptop and see what is there, I can just zoom in and see what is happening. So press Z on your keyboard, and then now, of course, you have the option to zoom in to make it bigger, right? Or for it to make it more like zoom out, right? So let's keep it in zoom in for now. At the top, you see the options at the top. So I would zoom in again, and then I can see clearly what's there. I can even zoom in more than that. All right, that's a zoom tool. Okay, if I want to zoom out back, I can just press minus now, zoom out, and then I can press click on my keyboard, and then click on my mouse, and then zoom out again. All right, now as simple as that. Let's go back to move to V, my keyboard. Now, as you move from tool to tool, you see this. You see that right now, this is highlighted. This particular tool is highlighted because that's where I am right now, right? And then because I use the shortcuts, because I'm familiar with these shortcuts, I just press the shortcut to like come over here, right? So sometimes it might select what I don't want. So right now, I press V, which is supposed to be for move to, but also applies to artboard. I have to choose by myself to come. So I'll just come back here and just select right click, and then select move to by myself, not artboard. Good. Now, I spoke about the move tool. I spoke about the zoom tool for you to zoom out, zoom out. Now, the next tool I would like to speak about tonight, don't worry. Tonight is very comprehensive. You may not use to practice it, just practice as I'm saying it, and then you can come back again to watch it over and over again to master the tools. I also ensure that you cover all the essential tools so that by giving an assignment or you will see anything, you can know exactly what you should do or have an idea of what you need to do. Right? So the move tool, the zoom tool, let's go to the character tool. Are you going to type any text in Photoshop? You will be needing the character tool. Now, the character tool actually itself can be a bit complicated because, of course, Photoshop is an app that provides you with a lot of flexibility, right? So it provides you a lot of features that you can explore when it comes to image editing and then for design, okay? But I'll just keep it as simple and then as minimal as possible, right? Now, let's go to the character. So don't move this out of the way, please. Just right there. Good. Now, the character tool. For the character tool, the shortcut is T on your keyboard. T for text. T. Okay. Now, when you press T on your keyboard, you see a sub panel or a sub toolbar at the top that shows you properties of that particular text tool. Okay. You see the font name. You see the font style. You see the font size. Okay. You see this part though. You see the paragraph settings. So either left align, just leave this part, and then you have a column. Okay. So let's keep it as simple as possible. First of all, let's change this color to black. Okay. Let me stop. Let me go back. So I click on the white because I want black. I can see black here. Just click on it. Simple. I want red. I just click on it. Okay. And once I'm done, I just click on OK. Wait, if it's not, let's say for example I want the blue. There's a slider here, and I just click on the slider or drag by myself. So I can either just click on any point I want or drag it. So double click and then you drag. Okay. So let's use a blue just for context. Right. I have something not so short. Let me just use black for safer. And then place on OK. Alright. Then as you begin to explore the world of design, there's some colors that just have X code. Oh, that's not for now. We'll get into that in design session. Right. Tonight is just for Photoshop, right? Just how you could use it to detail. So we have the black, right, sets, and then we have the font set already. Right. So I was also going to show you something else, how you can install fonts. I think I should do that right now. Now, depending on the kind of fonts you have on your laptop, let me show what I mean. So, the way your text appears or the way you see text appears in many multiple forms, maybe on the billboard, on the banner, or you went to a restaurant and you see menu, right? Even your laptop, the way fonts appear, even on your phone, those are called fonts, right? Where text appears, right? So I would install a font I will show you. So, for example, if you like a particular font, you just ask for its name and then you install the fonts. So the most common font you probably find on your laptop that you can find right now, if you're not installing anything, most likely is something like Times New Roman. Especially if you went to a uni already, most likely you know that you have to use that to do your project and all that. Then probably you find Calibri, you find Arial or your fonts. So you find Arial, you find Calibri, you find Times New Roman. Most likely you find Georgia also. You most likely find Tahoma, right? Yes, it's Tahoma font, right? So it's a font you most likely find by default on your laptop, but you can also definitely install kind of fonts you want. So just for me to do, for educational purposes for this class, I would show you how to install fonts. In case you don't know how to do that, right? So I'll come to my file, wherever my font is, and then if your font is in a zip file, extract them. Let me extract them to different files, and then let me open this one. Okay, so let's click, and then you see. So if you're using a Mac, I'm not sure. I don't know how to do that, but I'm never Windows. Right. So for Windows, just right click, and then click on install. Right. Right, that's already done. So ensure that you do the name of the font, so you can look for it. So the name of the font is bold. Something like Bodon. What's that? Bodons or something like that. I don't know. So let's go back to Photoshop. And now I just come here to search for that. So it might take a bit for it to load because it's installed that font into Photoshop, so you can use it. So right now I can type bold. Yeah, that's it. This one. So right now that font. If I type right now, let's type what should I type? Design. Good. All right. So you have the font. That's the font. Okay. So if I decide to type this particular font now, and don't worry about what I did now. We'll get to that later. Type it in something like Ionic. All right. See, it's different. So what makes these two text look different is the font name or the font family. Okay, that's like what makes it different. Simple as that. So I showed you how to install the font. I showed you how to select the character too. Now another thing you also can delete this one. That's really more. Yeah. So you have the color, right? Now this other bar is customizable to you. Okay, you can make it carry what you want. So it's a case of if I said I want to go jogging right now, the default is for me to, of course, I use my legs to jog, right? But what I will carry when I'm going to jog is different from what another person might carry. For example, I can decide to carry just my phone and my AirPods or my headset, and I'm good. So someone can decide to say, I need a bottle of water. So I'm running, right? I need maybe a supplement or something like that. Anything you need, okay, they can say, I need to carry my face towel or my hand towel so I can clean my face, right? They can say to want to use stickers, like the plus stickers. Just depends on what they are finding. So this side of Photoshop, this one, even this part, this entire part, the right part usually allows you to customize how you want the Photoshop to look like. Okay, the same way you would customize your workspace, how you want your workspace to look like. Simply you can do that inside Photoshop. So for me, I just customize what I use almost every day. Okay, so now, for example, for my character too, even if I'm not on the text too, I should mention this part in Photoshop. Depending on the tool you're using, there's what you can call a sub tool or sub features at the top, right? So more like sub panel at the top. So if I click on the move tool now, what I see just after the files bar is different. For if I click on character now, that's C to change it. See, if I click on something like shape tool now, it changes also. So it depends on what you are using at the time, right? But if I don't want to, if I have a character, I don't want to keep the back to character to just to access the color of the font, right? Opening something like this here helps me to always access color of the font. So right now I'm on shape tool, I can still change the color of the text. Right, let me show what I'm saying. Right now I can change this to red. Simple as that. So for you to access something like this now, just come to Windows and then click on characters. So character and character styles are together, and then to show you this A. So if you see this A, that's for character, and this is for paragraph. Okay. So also you can change the size of your font. You don't just the font family of your fonts. You can change the size, how big or how small you want it to be. Right now it's on 18, as you see here. Right, that's the font. That's the font size. I change this to 24 to make it bigger. Right, very basic. Right, I can make it smaller again, maybe like to 10. So that's font size. Right, let's go back to default. So Control Z, same way you use on your laptop to undo what you're doing. So Control Z for it to undo something you've done before. Okay, so you know how to change the name, how to change the size. So I think for now we'll leave it as that. Okay, another thing is that why this looks as if the text is spaced out, because it might not look that way at all, is that it's something called character spacing. So The same way you learn the ABCD back in elementary school, you have those ABCD are called characters, right? So A is a character, B is a character. So each character, each letters or whatever it is, right? The space between from A to B, that space is called character space. Okay, so for example, I can decide to write number like 070. So the space between 0 and 7 also is called character spacing, right? So because I have a character spacing space out, that's why you have it looking like this. So depending on the space in your characters, you can do that. So by default, of course, it's B0. So how do I show you this now? So this you see this icon that says VA. That's for it to track the spacing. Right. So right, the one is on folder because I was doing something else. Wait, by default is to be on 0. So click on 0. See. Okay. This is probably what your looks like right now. Oh, you want more spacing between your character. This way you change that. So after your front name, just by the right hand, you see this stuff like VA. That's where you change the space between the character. Let me go back to like 400. Okay, so that's where that is, right? I don't want to bore you too much details right now. So those the font size and the character spacing are good for that. Now the next thing I'll be showing you is called the shape tool, right? So for example, you want to draw a couple of shapes in Photoshop. How do I do that? Like a square, like a circle, like a pentagon, like a polygon, whatever it is. How do I do that? So there's something called the shape tool in Photoshop, and the shortcut for the shape tool is letter U on your keyboard. Okay, so press U on your keyboard and you have access to the shape tool. Now if I come to the shape tool now and I right click, you see rectangle tool, ellipse tool, that's from examples. You see triangle, you see polygon, you see line, you see custom shape. Everything is under the shape tool. So for now, I just keep it as simple as possible. You go with the rectangle tool, alright? And then I just come here and draw a simple rectangle, right? Now by default, you would have the fill color. So the fill color is like the color you're seeing right now, the color that's inside the shape itself, right? You also have the access to put color around the shape. That's called outline or stroke. Okay, so you have the fill color, that's the color of the shape itself, and then around the shape, you also have access to put a color. So that can be outline or stroke. The same thing, right? So right now you have the fill color, and then you have stroke at the top here. You can see that. So for right now, my stroke doesn't have any color. We will pick on stroke just after the stroke text at the top, and it's the next icon that looks like white. Click on that, I can choose any color I want. Okay, and then depending on how thick you want the stroke to be, can increase it. So when you see 1 pixel, you can change to like 20 for the us to see better. Because right now I have each stroke around my shape. Okay, I'm go back to move to, right? So right now I have a black rectangle with a colored stroke. Okay, I don't want the stroke. Let me go back to Ctrl Z. Yeah, just the rectangle itself. Right now, let's assume we want to now maybe I'm just using move to move up and up. Let's assume I want to create a square. What do? Say the same rectangle to come back to rectangle to U, and then I drag, but instead of just dragging freely, I hold shift. As I'm dragging, I'm holding shift on my keyboard. So to constrain the proportions to be a perfect square. Right now I'm holding shift and then I'm dragging. Like double click and then you drag. Right? But if I leave shift, goes back to being free. Right? But once I hold shift again, goes back to being constrained to that. Okay. And I have a perfect square. So I showed you how to create a square and a rectangle. Same thing. When I use most of the tools, holding shifts, especially for the shape tools now, you have to constrain to a perfect or something fitted into an aspect ratio of what you exactly want to what, right? So that's like how that works. If you have the shape, you have the ellipse, you can create with the color, right? Now, let me change this from black to another color. Let's change to this color, right? So what I did now is that if you have a color you like on your design, you can just click on it. You see this drop down icon, right? And then you click anywhere and you can pick the color there. So let me click on this screen and then click on OK. Go back to move to V and then can move this around. Right now, okay. Another thing is that as I mentioned earlier, this side of my Photoshop is customized to what I want. So these parts are properties of what I'm doing. Well, let's go back to the shape tool, and then right now you see that the stroke is on. I don't want it to be on. Click on it and then click it off. So it's up here. I don't want it allow. Alright, so this part I don't want it. This part is for colors. I want my stroke to have a color. This is for gradients and so on and so forth. But let's keep it as simple as possible. This, and then go back. My move to, then I can move it up and down as I want. Nice. So I've showed you the text tool. I've showed you the shape tool. What else should we look at? Right. Now let's look at what is called the transform tool. So the transform tool is applicable to any layer. Once the layer has something, so whether it's a text layer, a shape layer, a photo layer, image layer, whatever layer that has something inside it, you can apply the transform tool. So the essence of the transform tool is that you're able to like walk around the particular layer. So you can probably say I want to make the layer bigger, smaller. I want to apply some couple of changes to it to just transform it. That's what the transform tool is for. Now, there's like the default transform tool. For example, now if I click on the top, if I move to at the top here, you see what says show transform tools or show transform controls, right? You see, once I click on that, I have these guys showing up around the shape, right? We're gonna click it off. I don't want it. Or to activate it by manually, let me put it that way, press Ctrl T, then add the same thing, right? So now I can say I'll just scale up or down. Just clicking, just click on the edge, move up or down. Okay, click on the enter, and I'm good. Ctrl Z, go back. Also, if I press Ctrl T and say the aunt rotate this guy, I'll be able to rotate it. I come to the edge, and then I'll see it changes from. So if okay, let me show you this now. If I stay at any of the edges, so any of the edges, right? You see it shows a particular arrow that goes up or down. Even look close, just move closer to you out of your seat. Move it shows you that you can scale outside or the inside of that particular layer, right? Anywhere I am. See? Okay, right. But if I want to rotate it, you have to move outside of the edge a bit. You see, it changes to a curve. So we still having that arrows, but it changes to a curve instead of that edge control. So with the point it changes to that curve, that means you can rotate it. That's the click called hold, and then you can rotate. Okay. Yeah. Now, you have that guy rotated already, so you can add that scale up or down, and then also able to rotate your layer, right? As simple as that. Ctrl Z, go back. Now, I will show you the transform tool. Simple as that. Because you have any to format to just stop at that. Now, let's look at another tool. Let me show you the brush. Okay, not the brush for now. Let's look at the polygon tool. Let's say, for example, now to draw a polygon like a pentagon. Yeah. Come to shape to right click, and then come to polygon, and then come to the top here. You see something like an hashtag, and then I input the number I want. Right, there's on 5. That's for pentagon. Click on 5. Let's say, for example, I want like 12 sides. Click on it and enter the 12 sides. This is for the corner radius. How rounded you want the corner to be. Let's keep it as 0 pixel, which is sharp. And then I can come here and say David drag. So hold and then you drag. Remember I said when you want to make it constrained, you hold on shift, so it can be perfect. See, if I move shift right now, it comes to with some craziness. Link hold shift and then drag, and then I leave it there. Right? So we have a polygon that has 12 sides. Simple as that. But I want a pentagon, so let's go back. U and then changes to 5. And then you can come back and say let's draw. So draw this, and then yeah. Another thing is that you have what is called the star ratio. So the star ratio is currently equal. That's why you see it begins to look as if it's dented a little bit. Or rather, we think about to like 100 becomes a perfect pentagon. Okay, but we must be making like a star, 5-point star. Now come back to this, and then I can change to like a 50, and it becomes a star. Right now, in case you don't have this properties panel on your Photoshop, it's understandable. I need that for what my daily work. So just come to Windows and you see properties, and then you select that, so you're able to see what I'm having right now. Okay, so your properties, and then you move it around. So this allows me to see multiple options for each of the things I interact with. So for my polygon now, using it, I can indent the star. If I want the these guys to come in more, you can reduce this from 50 to like basically 20. See the difference? Okay, so that's like the essence of that, right? And if I want the edges to be a bit rounded, right, there's of 0. Remember, I changed from 40 to 0. Let's change this like 10. See that the sharp edges here, it can be a bit rounded. You see, that's like the essence of those particular things. So this applies to multiple tools you're interacting with in Photoshop. Next thing I'll be showing you tonight is the layers. So in Photoshop, we use something called layers. Now, this is a very, very interesting thing. You have to pay those. Interestingly, so we'll be actually interacting with layers panel already, but probably we've not paid attention to it, because I'm not calling attention to that part of Photoshop. So layers are something that we use consistently in Photoshop. So anything you are creating in Photoshop, we give it a layer, right? Or multiple layers, right? So for example, we decide to type a text now to get one layer. We decide to create a shape to get its own layer. We decide to import a picture to get its own layer. So not sure what I'm saying. So at the right hand side here, depending on how your right side is organized, right? We have what is called layers. You can see these layers. So all these things here are under the layers. Remember the picture you put at the right animation page, that's this layer for that. Right, where I click on delete right now, it goes off or started. That's the layer for that picture. Control Z. And then followed by that, you have the design text we created the other time. That's the layer for that. Then we created the regular black rectangle. That's this. Created another rectangle 2. This is that. Then the polygon has 5 sides. That we just created recently. That's that. So you have 5 layers currently. So everything I said right now have their own layer in Photoshop. So let's say, for example, I probably don't want to see anything else apart from this picture that we have. There's something that looks like an eye icon in beside each of the layer. So if it's on, then you see the layer. If it's off, you don't see that layer. So if I click off this polygon, it's still there in Photoshop, or I can't see it. If I click off the rectangle also, it's still there inside Photoshop, I can't see it. Right, so like it is either you want to make it visible or invisible. So click off everything and then just have the picture. It's still there in case I need it. So let's say, for example, okay, I want to bring it back to the test. I want to see it right now. Right, click on the icon and I can see it again. Or if I click on delete, it's go. Unless I probably press Ctrl Z, but back, and I see the layer again. Or in case you already know that I might need this layer again, just take it off. Just keep it there. So in case you need it again, just click it on if I see it. But that's like how that part works. So I've told you how you can click or let me put it how you can make a layer visible or invisible. That's like the concept of that part I just explained to you right now. Right now, what that is that you can actually rename your layers, so make it easier for you. So let me bring up all the layers again. So right, and let's change this color to something nice, bit different. Something around. Okay, that works. Just so I can make it different. So I can start to say, instead of me saying rectangle 1, I want to call this black rectangle, right? So you double click on the name. So for your layers, you can double click, depending on the layer. If you are on the shape layer, you can double click about 3 places. I will show you that, right? And you can make different changes to those 3 places. So but the parts where you want to change them, you click on the name of the current name. That's where you click on. Double click on that, and then you can change that name. So let's change this to black rectangle. Press Ctrl Enter. Then this one, let's change it to let's say green. Let's just put green for the colors. And then for this one, let's change this like, is that a pink? Yeah, let's put star. Right? So whichever of the default names, you can change the name of your layers to make it. Because within Mr. Say, sometimes you have like 100 layers and you don't know where you put one layer. You have multiple, you have like 1 to like 100. You don't know which one is which. So naming your layers can actually help you to keep things organized. Right? The next thing is that I mentioned earlier that you can click multiple parts of your layers to access different things. So if you're clicking on any of the name, even for picture layer, and double click and change the name to like something else. Right? Oh, I don't want that. Good. So, but back to the shape layer. I just showed you how to change them for any of the layers. Like, for example, I want to change the color of the shape layer now. Shape. Okay. I can double click this place that looks like a check box. Double click inside it. Inside that box, they can change the color or the feel. Okay, so for right now, that's a black rectangle. I can change to blue, or I can click on any of the other colors. Let's change. Press on OK. And this is great. So instead of go to the shape tool or look for it under properties, I can change the color right there. Okay, no, I don't want this to be stroke. So Control Z, okay. Stroke minus. Good. So that's the second part where you can click on your layer, and then the third part you can click any layer this time around. So any of the layers is the part that doesn't show the name. Is far from the thumbnail, is far from the text, just outside, just somewhere around it. When I click on it now, it should show me the layer style. Okay, but that's not it. And it'll be another class because this is much more a bit advanced than just basics. So I just want to show you that part that you can have multiple options of what you're clicking part time. So depending on what you want to do, you should know exactly where you're clicking on. That's why people think Photoshop is complicated. Just that it offers you multiple things for many things you can do. Say Photoshop. So basically put that on that part. So that's like for layers panel. Now the other thing I probably show you is that, for example, if you wanted to group things together, you can do that in Photoshop. Okay. You can group multiple layers together. For example, I can see I want to have all these layers of shape for the star and the rectangles to be just one group, so I can put them together at the same depth. What I do, I press on the first layer I want to select. And if let's say for example, I want to select only the design layer and the star layer. So this design layer is I want to make them to be a single group. I come to design layer, I go to the star layer, I press Control on my keyboard, and I click on star. So right now, you see that both of them are highlighted. Let me do that again. Come to the design or star, either one. Oh, let's start from star. Start from the star layer, and then just over to the design layer, press Control on your keyboard, and then click. Right now, both of them are highlighted. Then what next do you do? Just press Control G on your keyboard to group. Control G, group. Control G to group them together. Control G. And you see, right now it's grouped. So you see group one. Right. So if I set to move now, I can move both of them at the same time, but say same group. Okay, so I don't want them to be in a group. So to Z. So both of them are different layers right now. So I just showed you how to click off or click on visible, invisible layers. About to rename the layers, how to change the colors within the layers panel, how to also group the layers within the layers panel. That's already a lot. Let me say it because I don't want to bombard you with so much per class, so you don't get too overwhelmed in just a single class. And I think the other thing I'll just mention is that I mentioned before that in the newer versions of Photoshop, we have what is called artboard. So right now we're working on artboard, one you can see at the top here. This is the same artboard. So let's say, for example, I want to create something else inside the same file. I just come to artboard here, and then I can go to the top and say create new artboard, right? And then that's one way to do it. Or you just come to the side. Also on your artboard, you see plus around the artboard. So the artboards are available for the newer versions, like from around 20, I think around 2021 thereabouts. You need to have artboard. Maybe as far back as 2015, 2016, you know, see artboard there. Just delay as you do. Okay, so for the artboard, I can decide to click any one. So now they can do this multiple ways. Let me just click on the plus. So out of the plus, if I want to add it by the side, I just put the plus here. Create erasable. So it adds the exact size of what you click on before. So if, for example, I say I want this particular artboard to have a different dimension. Ensure that it is on artboard 2. I mentioned before that the same fee works for both move tool and artboard 2. So I show you on artboard 2, which you can have access to artboard controls at the top. Right. So right now it's on 1080 by 1080. Let's say, for example, I want it to be like TB dimension. That's like 1920 by 1080. So it will be like landscape. So I can change this to type, click, and then type 1920, and then leave the 1080 part. Right? You can see it's longer than the other one. Of course, 1080 is not as long as 1920. Okay, but let us reverse back to what we have. So that's like how to create a second artboard. So right now, whatever I'm doing here will not reflect this other one. Let's say, for example, I want to type a text right now. I type what should I type? Road mark. Okay, then move to, then I can drag. Okay, so we have two different artboards. Right, so whatever I'm doing here doesn't show you. You can see there's a drop down, and on the artboard layer, just only one layer is there, just roadmap text. But this other one has like 5 different layers. And also you can also rename your artboard the same way you double click on the names for each layer. So I do that for artboard. So double click and then say, what should we call this? Let's call it I don't know what to call it. Let's say log 1. I don't know. But you see, get the idea. What do I know? What is remain as artboard 1. So that's like how to maneuver around artboard, and many other tools that you have available in Photoshop for you to do. Okay, so I don't want to bore you to too much details tonight. I feel like I've covered a couple of tools and features that are available for you to use in Photoshop. And with these few tools I've done, even from the files, the layers, the Photoshop tools themselves, you can do a lot. Let me sincerely. And that's why I'm going to be affording you to work in a particular assignment tonight. But before I give you the assignment, I'll be creating something and then ask you to do your own version based on what is popular tonight. So I'll be showing like a small example, and I'll be expecting your own input. Okay, so I'll be creating the front cover with business card. So I'll just create a new file, Control N, remember Control N, and then for the business card now, the size a bit different. So we're using 1050 in pixels, 1050 by 600, 1050 by 600, and then we can create. All right, so this is a new file entirely. I'm not touching now to the other file is there. If I see it, but I don't want to touch down. So I have a new file entirely for business card now. So I'm creating something very simple. So I found a couple of pictures and I want to just use that to show you the wonders you can do. So I think what I didn't mention before, I'll be using that right now, is if you want to have a background color by yourself, right? So to do that, for example, I want to have a background color of red on my file. So come down inside under the layers panel, just at the bottom here, you see this guy that is like in the middle, right? So you see a couple of options. You see solid color, gradient, pattern, many things. The one you're focusing on right now is solid color. Leave that part for now. Okay. So solid color, right? Red is on black. I change it to like a red. So you see we can change for colors for text or for shapes. You can do that for your background. Okay. So I'll it to be black, right? Something not too black or black actually. Somewhere around not too black. Okay. So around it. So depending on what you want, don't worry. So I'm just trying to just create something very just the front where you see business card, the first part. So then I'll choose a particular image I have, and pass files, and then is the image I want to use. Okay. Let's learn. So I'm not going to explain this part because I don't mention how you need port images and all that. So this was just do something. So I want the background to blend more into this image. So what to use that. That has to be simple. Just do whatever you like. So for this guy, I would make him come down a bit. So okay, what I did now, I wanted the opacity to come down. So by default, of course, opacity will be like 100. So that's another part I didn't mention. So for layers, you have access to opacity, like how transparent or not a layer is, right? And also you have to understand that depending on where you put a layer, that's where you see it. So for example, now this particular image is above the layer for the background. Where I bring the layer of the background above it, I'll not see that picture again. Really still did. So that's another thing to mention. So always pay attention to where your layer is, when what you wanted to show first. Okay. So let me check it out. The name is still wrong. Let's put this address. Wait, name this to start to. Okay, so it's also long, right? So I want the opacity to come down so the background can show more. So right now you see opacity is on 100. So I want it to be at 50. So click on that and then press 50. And I have that increase like 40. Good. Now, so make it centered. Right, how to set it. So it should work. Right. Okay, another animation also is that you can use align tool. So under your move to V, okay. Let's say for example, how do I align this to the edge here automatically without me having to move by myself? Right. So if you're the move to remember V, you see align to at the top. So for example, this align to the left, align to center, align to the right, align to top, align to horizontal, then align to bottom. So that's what you're saying about. Just explore as much as you can. Okay, so I leave this as it is, and then just to finalize for this business card, I just type a name, and that's all. That's a very simple business card. So I come to text layer C, and then change the color to a white, not too white, just somewhere around here. Click on enter, then I come back to type. Then what should I type? That be very fun name, Richard Richard Watts. Richard Watts. Richard Code. What does that sound? No. Okay, so should we put that? Richard King. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. We are based on it. So I have my Richard King name. And then I just align to the center using the move through. And then also to horizontal. And then add the business card. Simple as that. Right? Anyone make it a bit fun, I can decide to probably change the fonts, Ctrl J, and then change the font of this. So something like Valky. Valky should work. Yeah, Valky works. There's Valky. So Valky also works. Now of course I'm spacing it out. So it's like 600. And then practically we just per line again, and then that's the business card. So if I give it to you, of course, if I print this and I give it to you, then okay, this code's very exotic luxury. And you can see the total number of layers I use is just 3 layers. Text layer, a picture, then it needs to be background, and that's all. So for your own assignment now, you're going to do both the front and the back. So for the back, of course, you include the information like the name of the person again, designation, probably the director, CEO, then you put phone number, email, whatever it be you want, whatever tickles your fancy. Just explore, just wait to practice what we spoke about today, right? And then, of course, we already have a platform where we discuss. So submit your assignment to the channels designated for you to do that, and then it's be reviewed as directed, or will be connected to your particular group for review and others, right? So, we've come practically to the end of tonight's class, and I'm very excited that we're able to do so much within a few time we had tonight, and I'm also expecting that you've picked more than 1 or 2 things tonight's class that you can apply, or you've already even applied right now as the class was going on, right? And I'm looking forward to your reviews, your insights, whatever you learned tonight. Let's have that. You can begin to drop that in the comments, and probably even also on our private platform, and then let's see what you'll be able to cover tonight. And then also if you have any other question that probably is not addressed on the platform, on the comment section right now, just drop that on our private session, right? And be able to personally attend to any of the questions you might have. All right. Thank you so much once again, everyone, for coming out tonight to attend to tonight's platform, tonight's session. And yeah, we had fun, and looking forward to our next class, and also to whatever your review or feedback is from tonight's class. Till I see you next time. Good night.